Okay, today we are painting a piece of furniture, and I have done furniture on and off quite a bit in my adulthood, and I have used professional stripping agents. I sometimes like them, I sometimes don't. The dresser that I'm working on was actually Ed's mother's dresser when she was a very small girl. She had given it to us, and then when my daughter had my granddaughter, I gave it to her. Our problem being, though, the granddaughter had gotten marker on this piece, and so I ended up bringing it home and deciding I wanted to sand it, and then I had to decide, am I going to strip it? Am I going to not strip it? And so I decided not to use the chemical stripper. I did use 4 degrees of sandpaper. I started with a 60 and went up. There was so many layers of paint. It wasn't even funny. Oh my. I have a couple imperfections I'll show you guys and talk about too. Someone put wood filler in where some imperfections were on the dresser. And I don't know what the reasoning was behind that. It was more of a knot. Unfortunately, when I took my sandpaper to it, I smoothed that out a little bit more than I really wanted because it would have been nice to keep the whole knot. It was just a mess. The other thing is where the mirror was, multiple people painted it with the mirror on, never removing the mirror. And it just created this huge lip, and I'll show you real quick too, where the white paint was, because this piece used to be a cream yellow or some type of yellow before. I decided to go ahead, and I'm using a finishing roller. There's different rollers. Some have naps, some do not. I did, like I said, use 4 different types of sandpaper. I used a 60. I went up to I think a 220. I used a 320 and then a 4 something. I wanted to get a nice smooth finish when you ran your hand across it. It's not perfect where the mirror was, but it's 70%, a lot less than it was before. So the mirror should set nicer on the piece of furniture when we get done. Let me show you what I'm talking about though, as far as some of the imperfections. Okay, so right through here is a lip where, and maybe this way is better. And when you run your hand right through there, you can feel that line. And it just isn't as pretty as it could be, but we're going with it. Now, also, I had some pink marker, I'm guessing-ish, right here. And so then I had like, okay, then which is what made me think I was going to have to use a stripper. And it ended up getting 99% off of it. And then there's a couple knot holes, and let me show you those. It doesn't look like a knot anymore, but there was an imperfection here for some reason that had wood filler glue, and I know it was wood filler glue by the smell of it. And this section actually ended up having a wood filler in it that made a bubble. So when I looked at it and ran my hand across it, I thought it was a big bubble of paint, and it was. It was just somebody used wood filler and didn't sand it down and make it smooth, and then so when the sandpaper hit it, it just chewed my sandpaper up. That is actually really pretty, and it's not bad. I'm sure years ago it was probably a bigger knot, but it is actually smooth to the touch now. There's no ridge or line. So I'm going to get started. When you're sanding, there are different grits of sandpaper. Hopefully the light's better this way. So if you're not sure what you're doing, you can always look up different things and read all kinds of things. Also, if you're going to use a roller, make sure of what type of roller you're using. This is what they call a finishing roller, so it's got a very smooth, very nice line. If you use something with a nap, it looks like a sheep, right? It will leave paint, too much paint on the piece of furniture, which you don't want. So I'm going to jump off here. I'm going to get started, and then I'll show you a real quick before, and then that way once I get done I can show you an after, and then you'll get to see the whole thing. I haven't started on the drawers yet. I haven't even sanded them down. I need to take the hardware off and get them sanded, and they are kind of a tongue and groove, so we know the piece was his mother's when she was very, very young. So I'll show you a before, and then that way you guys can see, and then I decided not to use the strippers. I didn't want to use the chemical on such an old piece of furniture. And then the other thing is I just decided I wanted to, I want to put a nice finish on it, and I want it to look nice, but I wasn't going for perfect because it is an old piece of furniture. So, and it's going to go in our playroom. So, but I want it to be as pretty and as good of a job as I can do. So let me show you a before, and then I'm going to get started. And that is what it looks like before I get started. And I'll show you the different sides. I don't need to show you the back and the top. Which is probably pretty awkward, but you get the gist. So, and you know, I don't go for perfect. I just go to try to help document what I do, and then maybe in the long run, it will help somebody else as well. I'm going to jump off here, guys. I'm going to get started on this piece, and hopefully it turns out really pretty and you guys really like it. And I've chosen everything. I'm going to get started. It's got a nice, very soft finish. I've cleaned it after I sanded it. It had lead-based paint. I was more than sure it was lead-based paint, so I did do the sanding outside wearing a mask. If you're not sure whether it's lead-based paint, then just take the precautions, because you don't want to breathe that in. You want to wear a breathing apparatus or just a light mask. I do know that this is a very old piece. His mother had it when she was very small, and she's in her 70s. So I went ahead and I wore safety glasses and a mask, sanded it out in the garage in a slightly ventilated area, and then that way I took those precautions. I do say you can do harsh strippers. I'm not against them. There's some very great products out there, but I just decided for what I was doing, I just decided I didn't want to do it. So, and it's not taking a shortcut because I worked really hard on this piece, but I also just decided that I wanted to show it some love, and because I know that it's very, very old, I don't want it to make it look perfect. I want it to look nice, and I want to do a wonderful job. So I'm not rushing through it, but I do want to be honest to the age of the wood. So that's how I feel about it. Somebody else who may have this eventually may say, oh, she should have stripped it and done better, but you know, I just want to do as best as I can and not harm the wood and worry about chemical strippers. So I'm going to jump off here, guys. Hit like, hit subscribe, and I'll talk to you guys soon, and I'll show you the after when I get done with the whole piece.